welcome and or welcome back to the Rootz Remedies podcast, a sacred space where we navigate how to return to our roots in order to evolve forward into the best versions of ourselves. My name is Latasha, and I am honored to be your host, guide, and curator for this space. And today we will be talking about burnout, what it is, why it happens, is there a way forward? Luckily for us, yes, we can heal from burnout. In this episode, we will dive into the nitty-gritty and the ins and outs of what it is and how that looks. But before we do, let's take a pause for a moment of breath. So wherever you are, I invite you to just check in with your body. How are you feeling? What do you notice in your body? As you take this moment, inhale nice and slow. Exhale, release. Let's inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Continue breathing as you listen to the sound of my voice. This is for the person that exists, the one I may never have the honor of meeting, but who somehow hears these words. The one who's dancing on the edge of burnout, afraid that they have no way to return back home to yourself. Stop. Breathe. Let me assure you that you can find inner peace again. You can feel whole again. Breathe. Intentionally. Take a moment to pause and feel your feet beneath you. You are worthy of healing and flowers and love. May you settle into this space and expand into all the possibility that you are capable of. You are exactly where you need to be. The mantra and affirmation for today's episode is: balance flows to and through me with ease. Balance flows to and through me with ease. Take one more nice, deep, cleansing inhale. Exhale, let it go. Gently welcome you back into this space together. That was nice. I like that. Thank you all for that moment of breath together. Now, for today's topic of burnout. For those of you who are watching, go ahead and drop in the comments what burnout is to you, what it means, and or how you navigate healing it. So what is burnout? When I think about burnout, I think about just being over it. Like, I have nothing else to give. I am tapped out. I am empty. I have given it all. There's nothing else that I can give. It's just a reaching of a limit. When I think of burnout, I think of reaching a limit. And sometimes, in some cases, even being over that limit, being overextended. So how does this happen? Why does it happen? How can we go from feeling like we have vitality and energy and we're good and everything's okay to, okay, I can't get out of bed today? How do we get there? What happens? What is that moment? And I believe that it looks very differently for all of us, and it depends on your own individual experience. However, I've noticed that burnout happens in a few different ways. One of the ways is overextending or giving more than we had in that moment. And that can look like a lot of different things. An example can be a family member reached out needing something, and you knew you didn't have the energy, the time, or capacity to deal with it, yet you still answered that phone call. Sometimes we go through random periods of just crisis, those moments where life just starts lifing out of nowhere. This happens, that happens, this happens, that happens, and it was just a moment of chaos and crisis. Sometimes our energy is being pulled into so many different places that we don't really have the space to refuel and regenerate and recoup, so we're just being pulled from and tapped from. And I found that that's another way in which burnout can start to creep into our lives and into our spaces. In addition to that, when we are asked to do something and we agree to it without being conscious or mindful of the effects or the outcomes. So in my previous example, I gave an example of answering a phone call when you knew you didn't have the energy. However, I also have noticed burnout become an occurrence that happens when you answer the phone call when you do have energy. However, you didn't realize how much energy it was going to take from you. You didn't think about the future repercussions. And that's one way that burnout can also happen in our life, is we can overextend. So for me, it always just comes back to this idea and concept of honestly doing too much, right? When we are just plain out, just flat out doing too much and we need to sit down, that is when we open ourselves up to the potential of burnout. So as we think about that, one way that I have found that is useful to help navigate out of and away from burnout is, I'm going to just say it, sit down, stop. Just stop, literally stop doing it. Don't do those things when you know you don't have capacity for them. And that may seem like something that is so easy, like, well, obviously, yeah, just don't do it. It may seem that obvious and that easy to say, but how many of us actually practice that? How many of us actually take the time to check in with ourselves long enough to say, actually, I don't have the energy to go out to this event tonight, or I'm at capacity right now and I can't. As much as I would love to, I can't. And if you already do that on a regular basis for yourself, yes, I love that for you. That is amazing. Keep it up. And if you haven't yet gotten to that space, give yourself a moment of grace. It is okay, because we live in a world that keeps us going fast paced, and that wants our minds and our attention to be scattered everywhere. So it's not your fault, and you are not alone in that. However, I would offer this moment as a chance to invite you back to check in with yourself from time to time. Before you agree to things and before you say yes, what is it that you're saying yes to? And do you actually have the capacity to navigate that space? The first way we can navigate away from that and navigate out of that is checking in with ourselves. And that goes hand in hand with make yourself a priority. When you are a priority above all else, burnout is, I don't want to say it won't happen, but it's less likely to take us out so severely when we prioritize ourselves. Because if I put myself number one, then I know when I'm coming up against a wall. So I am able to take rest and allow myself to refuel before I hit the wall, as opposed to having to scramble and try to get my energy back after I've already crashed into the wall. And prioritizing ourselves can look, that's whatever that is for you. It looks so differently for every single person. It looks so differently for all of us prioritizing ourselves. For some, that could be taking a walk on your lunch break, knowing that, I just don't have it right now. I need to take this lunch to take a lap, right? For some of us, it could be reminding ourselves to drink water and to hydrate. And there are so many ways that we can prioritize ourselves, which is something that we will be diving into in more depth in the next episode of what that looks like and the different facets and different components of what prioritizing self looks like. But regardless of what it looks like for you, as long as you are putting yourself first, burnout is less likely to happen because it all comes down to self-care. And self-care is one of those words that I've realized it's kind of like a buzzword now, especially in the realm of health and wellness and self-care, take care of yourself. But one thing we fail to really talk about and dive into when we speak of self-care is that it's not just the mani-pedis and the spa days and the big extravagant things. It can be, don't get me wrong, it can be, because listen, I love splurging on myself. However, in the moments where we're not able to do that, that doesn't mean that we can't practice self-care, right? It doesn't mean that we can't still care for ourselves lovingly and gently and show up for ourselves in all the ways in which we need the most. And so, yeah, self-care, prioritizing yourself, self-care, those are some really big tools that you can use. And this concept of having this grand, big gesture, it can be broken down into smaller activities. It can be broken down into one moment at a time, one activity at a time, just one breath at a time. And that's one of the reasons why I do and I will continue to invite us into moments of breath at the beginning of these episodes, is because we don't breathe enough, not intentionally. Think about the last time you took a moment to breathe intentionally, to feel the breath in your body. And if you do, that's great. Please keep it up. We need more breath. I personally feel like if more of us were breathing intentionally and just taking a moment to just, the world would not be as chaotic as it can be sometimes, in my personal opinion. So yes, that's one of the reasons why we breathe here, and we will continue to breathe. But yes, so prioritize yourself. Right? Breathe. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to rest. Get good sleep and sit down for a little bit. It's okay. If you still have 20 things to do on your to-do list, yeah, guess what? Those 20 things are probably still going to be there tomorrow. You know why? Because you don't yet have the energy to actually complete them, and that's okay. The more honest we are with ourselves about our energy and what we are able to do, the more we are able to get those things done. So when we rest, when we pause, when we breathe, we are able to tap back in to that check-in system. Again, it goes back to prioritizing yourself, going back to checking in with self, to see, where am I? Can I even do this? Do I have capacity for this? Like, life is not meant to be rushed. And I know it may feel kind of counterintuitive in a world where we are so focused on capitalism and productivity and what can I get done and how can... Breathe. It's okay. Things are going to get done in the time frame that they are going to get done in. And when we give ourselves the space to allow things to happen, that's when the magic actually happens, because we're not overthinking and going. We give space for life to happen and flow, and we give space for the beauty to happen. So in that space that is created, not only do we have opportunity for healing to show up, but we also have opportunity for pause and breath. And in those moments of breath, that's when the inspiration comes. That's when we have ideas, and that's when things just start flowing. But unless we take that moment to actually pause, we rob ourselves of those opportunities. So I ask you, how many opportunities are you robbing yourself of just because you're trying to keep going and going in the name of getting things done? So with this, as we navigate that, we've talked about the fact that burnout exists, right? It's a thing. It happens. okay. However, we didn't talk about how we can navigate out of it. Is this a state of burnout something that we're just always going to be in, or is it a place where we can have ideas on how to get out of it eventually? What is that? So the first thing that I would like to remind us of when we are in spaces of burnout, and I mean actively, like we are actively in it. It's not like we're trying to heal and prevent. No, we are actively in it. It is happening. The first thing I want to remind us of is to know, recognize, and accept that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. This won't last forever. Whatever is going on, whatever is looming over you, whatever has you burnt out, it's not going to be forever. And I know that could feel a lot of different things. I know for myself personally, when I'm going through different things, I don't always want to hear that, right? Because it sucks in the moment. And it's like, yeah, it'll pass one day, but I'm here right now. Yeah, so I understand how annoying that might be to hear. However, I think that it is a very, very important reminder, because when we are burnt out and we have nothing else to give, it could be so easy to just go to this is it. This is what takes me out. Listen. And even though those are valid feelings, especially in the moments of burnout and overwhelm and just, it's important to remember it's not forever. That you've gotten through hard things before. You have been on the edge of burnout before. You have been maybe not necessarily in the same exact position or same exact place, but you know what it's like to go through things, right? And guess what? Those things aren't happening anymore. Other things may be happening, but those things aren't happening. So remind yourself that this isn't going to be forever. And if you can just create a plan for your own healing to get you through to the next moment, then that alone can be so grounding, because it gives you a focal point. It gives you somewhere to look forward to. It gives you something to hold on to. And it's like, look, it's not okay today. Let's try again tomorrow. And that shift in thinking is something that can change everything. Even if it doesn't feel like it or look like it on the surface at times, it really does go a long way. So that's the first thing. The second way we can start creating a plan, and this isn't the tools themselves, but it's how to create a plan. It's to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. And work towards finding balance to maintain it. So grace is one of those things where, and speaking for myself, and I'm curious how the rest of you have navigated this, but grace is one of those areas in my life where I am quick to give it to other people. I'm giving grace all day. You get some grace. You get some grace. But when it comes to me, it's just like, yeah, no, you don't get none of that. No. And it's wild to think about, because when I literally think back over my life and all the people that I gave too many passes to, I'm talking way too many, okay? And then I think about all the times that I could have given that same love and grace and those same moments of compassion to myself, and I didn't. It makes me wonder how things would have been if I took a moment to just check in with self and say, hey, it's okay. You got this. You can breathe, And if I gave even just half the amount of grace that I was giving out to others, if I just gave half that amount to myself, how would that have shifted everything? So grace, give yourself some grace. It is okay. It is okay. And another way that we can start creating a plan is you can first notice when you started getting burnt out. Like, it can be hard sometimes because we go from not in it to in it. We're just in it. We're just burnt out. But I do think if we take a moment to really look at it, there was a moment that something clicked, something changed where we went from abundant energy to something shifting. Something's getting shifty. What was it? What was it, and how did you react to that? If you notice that, you can then start creating a rough outline and plan for when you start feeling that again. If we are able to notice what it was that triggered us, notice our burnout trigger. If we are able to notice our burnout trigger or our line, then we are able to create and craft a plan for what we do in that moment. Like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm getting almost towards burnout. In that moment, what is a plan that you can enact for next time? And I know that can be hard because it's like, oh, well, I'm burnt out. I don't have energy or space to think about how I'm not going to be burnt out again. Yes, I understand that. However, if we are able to think ahead in such a way that would allow us to have space to connect in a new way, which is great. Another way we can do that is to focus on preventative care. Focus on how can I prevent myself from getting there in the first place, especially when we already start to feel like, all right, I've been on 10 for the past 3 weeks. How can I integrate some self-care into this? So take a moment to see what that looks like for you, how you are navigating this space, and just what that feels like, what it looks like, how it shows up for you in your body. And there are different tools that you can use to help with these things. One thing that really helps me is reading and taking in knowledge, and just knowing that I'm not alone, knowing that there are other things that can help me, other tools, other processes. One book that has been really helpful for me on my own journey is actually The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a really short book. It's super short. It's a short book, quick read, and it has given insight into ways that I can align my mind and my insides to be able to look at the world differently. And when you look at the world differently, you can navigate your insides differently. And for me, that has had a direct correlation with burnout, because when I look at the way that the world is running and operating, I can then look at the way I work and operate within that world. And then I can see, does that align with who I am and how I am and what I want to be and how I want my life to be? And if it is, great. Wonderful. If it's not, I can adjust slightly. So that is and has been wonderful. Highly, definitely suggest this book if you are interested in learning just 4 simple, quick ways on how you can reframe your mind. Highly suggest it. For those of you who watched and resonated with this episode, let me know in the comments what burnout is to you, how it may have shown up in your life, and the things that you have used to either heal yourself from moments of burnout or how you navigate preventing it. Go ahead and let us know in the comments below. Let's start this conversation so we can start helping each other and bounce ideas off of each other. So let me know how you're feeling and what you're thinking about today's episode. Now we know what burnout is. We talked about a little bit about how we can create a plan and navigate out of it, but what does that look like more in depth? So I'm looking forward to exploring that next episode. But for now, a gentle reminder of today's affirmation, which is balance flows to and through me with ease. Balance flows to and through me with ease. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today. May you go in peace, flow in love, and have fun creating the world that you wish to thrive in. Until our next moment of magic, my friend. See you then.